A wokey bolts right after claiming trans people are just normal, but before Michael Knowles could share some hard truths. The debate gets heated.
Transgender people are normal. They eat, they sleep, they love, they volunteer in our community, they have jobs, they're really cool. Maybe it takes a little getting used to because we're indoctrinated to think certain things, but you have a heart and you can get used to it. So thank you.
What do you mean by normal? On what basis are we now all to throw out our previous beliefs? Biology, anthropology, philosophy, all traditional religion, and believe that a man could really become a woman and that it is positively good to castrate a little boy? On what basis are we told that we have to accept the view that a little girl should be forced to change in a public pool dressing room in front of a giant hairy man who pretends to be a woman? I think it's very telling that she ran away before she could answer any of those questions, because there's no basis for it, and the legitimate rights of people are being destroyed because of an ideology that doesn't help anybody.
Hey, my fellow ladies out there. So men think they own you. Take it from somebody that used to be a man. You got boobs. You got a vajayjay. Guess what, honey? You own them. Trust me, they want it. Make them own it.
Who's going to break the news to this man about the reality of his situation? The tension is palpable.
I don't think there's anything wrong with having people who are transgender at any age
so like
express that.
Nine would be okay?
I think at 9 you need to have a conversation with the parents as well.
Yeah. So 15 they wouldn't need like their parents' consent?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think 15-year-olds can make decisions for themselves that are well enough informed that they can do what they want.
Do you think like they're actually mature enough at that age, 15, to be able to make logical decisions? Yeah, life-changing decisions?
You can be tried as an adult at 15.
But my thing is with kids, they're feeling, especially since they're young, they're malleable, they're not going to know exactly what's right and what's wrong.
Okay.
And if I were to tell them, hey, you're not going to be able to have kids in the future, you're not going to be able to have a family, do you really think that they're going to know through in their mind what they're actually consenting to when they do that?
Yes.
So would you say that we should lower the drinking age limit as well?
No, because drinking can be harmful to people.
And transitioning kids can't, like cutting off their penis?
Not really.
Their ability to, that's not harmful?
I would say it's much more harmful to drink as a young age than transition.
A wokey believes that underage drinking at 15 is harmful, yet changing gender is okay. The inconsistency is startling.
What's your go-to micro-feminism?
I call myself and other women, not girls.
Refusing to yield to men when they're walking down the street.
When a man's getting aggressive, I hit him with the, I can see you're acting a little emotionally. Let's think a little more logically, like me.
I like to ask my male colleagues to take notes during our meetings.
When someone talks about going to the doctor, I ask what she said.
I don't watch a lot of sports, but when I do, I try to put on women's sports to help their ratings and to lift women's sports in the media.
When a man says he is babysitting his children, I make sure to correct it to parenting.
Whenever something needs to be moved and someone's like, let's let the men do it, I say, no, I got it.
I like to hold the door open for men and insist they go in first.
Asking people about micro-feminism only to receive baffling answers. It seems confusion isn't just a micro issue.
All right, my love. If somebody asks you what your pronouns are, what do we say?
I'm a female girl.
Now, if someone tries to tell you their pronouns and it's different from a boy and a girl, what do we say?
Well, I pronounce the blood of Jesus over you.
All right. Now, if the teacher is teaching you that we come from monkeys, what do we say?
We're alive because we come from Jesus.
Amen. Most importantly, if someone is being a bully to you, or you see that they're being a bully to somebody else, what do we do?
Tell the teacher and your parents.
There we go. That's my girl. Go get him, champ.
Here's what good parenting looks like. Teaching truth and raising a leader, not a follower. It's about setting strong foundations.
What I eat in a day as a gorgeous plus-size girly. Today was a very busy day. I made sure to start off with a coffee to keep me going throughout the day, but this ended up being 1 out of 3 coffees. Yes, I said 3. We just happened to be at events that had special coffees that I wanted to try. So I did. But this was my first coffee and it was a pumpkin coffee. The plan for today was only to go to Destination Stars Hollow, which was an hour and a half away. But we made a pit stop and we ended up going to something called Cows and Coffee. My son has never been around farm animals, so this was a perfect time for us to go. It was adorable there. I got an iced coffee where you can add your own creamer to it. I will say they need more creamer options. Then I got a chocolate chip muffin that was recommended and it was amazing. Then we made it to Destination Stars Hollow. We ended up eating at the Hungry Diner. And first I started off with a water, then I ordered the Stay Basic coffee, which is a pumpkin coffee. Then I ordered a Southwest burger with fries, which was just as good, and I saved the fries for my son. Then I got home and drank some more water. Then I had some Reese's Minis, as well as a Diet Pepsi, and then some chips and salsa.
A so-called gorgeous plus-size girl consumes a week's food in a day? It's a comment that's bound to stir controversy.
The feminist movement is one of the biggest reasons for the marriage divorce rate these days. Yes, because women have become so masculine. A woman gets in her masculine energy. A lot of times she'll be disrespectful to her husband. And men don't do well with disrespect. You know, there's surveys that say that 80% of men say they would rather be alone and unloved than to be disrespected. And see, the feminist movement has taken it so far over the years to, it's not just equal rights anymore. Now it's men are being diminished and devalued and demoralized. What do we need men for? We don't need men. We can buy our own cars, we can vote, we can make our own money, run our own business. We can even have babies without men. And that makes men feel awful. You know, and if a man, when in a dating relationship, if a man doesn't feel he has anything to contribute to that woman's life, he's got to move on down the road.
A woman takes the modern feminist movement to task, exposing gaps and inconsistencies. Her critique is scathing.
Does anyone else feel like they're a boy inside of a woman's body and you're attracted to other boys that are trapped inside of other women's bodies, but then you're also attracted to women? So you're kind of like bisexual, but you're also a lesbian, but you're also just extremely gay, like the gayest form you could possibly be in. Does anyone feel that way, or you don't feel that way? If you could just put in the comments, like, if you do feel that way. No worries if not. It's like totally cool if you don't feel that way.
Being trapped in another body? More like suffering from a mental illness, according to one candid perspective.
Kamala's campaign spending scandal just got a lot worse. Tonight, we're finding out Kamala was lying to donors to keep the cash flowing. Here's one of Kamala's surrogates.
This is just an epic disaster. This is a $1 billion disaster. And I raised millions of that. I have friends that I have to be accountable to and to explain what happened because I told them it was a margin of error race. I was promised, Jen O'Malley Dillon promised all of us that Harris would win. She even put videos out saying that Harris would win. I believed her. My donors believed her. And so they wrote massive checks. I feel like a lot of us were misled.
Democrats were acting like sleazy salesmen, calling up donors and saying, we got Trump on the ropes. This race is tight. And your money can make all the difference. But the race wasn't close. And $1 billion just got washed away in a landslide. Her donors got fleeced and Kamala was clueless. In September, the cash flow dried up, but they kept her in the dark. It got so bad, some black staffers were on the brink of suing. Black aides felt routinely mistreated and demoralized. Some had even wanted to make formal complaints and refrained for fear of retaliation. In October, Kamala was scheduled to tape a fundraising video. While she was reading the script, Kamala stopped at a line. We missed our fundraising deadline. She looked at staffers and said, well, we can't lie to people. But it wasn't a lie. One low-level staffer had to tell Harris that the campaign did miss its goal. The Kamala Harris campaign was running out of money and no one thought to tell Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris never thought to ask.
A surrogate reveals how Kamala Harris lost $1 billion during her campaign. A financial blunder or a campaign catastrophe?
How are you equal if the men are the ones that have to fight and die to defend the country? The men are the ones that build and maintain all the infrastructure, right? None of this stuff in the studio is built or maintained by women. Do you know that 90% of infrastructure jobs are still held by men? And that if you look at the top 20 jobs held by women now in 2024 versus 1924 are almost the exact same. So women have had 100 years to do whatever they want, and they still do the same 20 jobs they did 100 years ago, other than
We switched out farm labor for HR work. But other than that, we're secretaries, nurses, daycare ladies, early childhood education, administrative assistants, retail workers, all the same shit that we were a century ago. So if the men are the ones tasked with every time there's a natural disaster, they have to go out and rescue people from the fires and the floodwaters, and every time there's a war, the men have to go and fight it and defend the country, and anytime there's a criminal who needs to be violently arrested, it's going to be a man who goes and does that, not a woman. Where does the equality come in? If we're doing the fluffy jobs, we're all singers, we got a lot of singers and musicians, which is cool, it's great, I love music too. But y'all ain't rescuing people and doing the heavy lifting or the dirty or the dangerous jobs, like who collects the trash? Men. Who does all the steel working and oil rig work and all of the sewer cleaning?
A woman enlightens a wokey feminist panel on how men maintain the world. It's an education that broadens perspectives.
If this pregnancy I'm carrying turns out to be a girl, I can't honestly tell her that she can do whatever she wants to do, that she can achieve anything she sets her eyes on, or that hard work and perseverance will take her anywhere she wants to go. If this pregnancy I'm carrying turns out to be a girl, I can't in clear conscience tell her to look to her fellow women for empathy and understanding, or for recognition of her value. If this pregnancy I'm carrying turns out to be a girl, I can't even promise her that the people who look like her will provide her an environment of safety or a community that will hold her close. The America of today has taught me better than that. The America of today would throw her to a rabid pack of dogs or men and watch her be ripped apart if it meant that they could enjoy a plate of hard-boiled eggs for 50 cents cheaper than otherwise. The America of today believes they are entitled to her body, her autonomy, her choices, her entire existence. But if this pregnancy I'm carrying turns out to be a girl, what I can tell her is that her mother, her father, aunties and uncles stood up and fought, not just for ourselves, but for the rights and freedoms of undeserving men and women, because that is how much we believe in the future of this country, and for her one day creating an America in which she can, in fact, achieve whatever she might set her sights on. And if this pregnancy I'm carrying turns out to be a girl, she will watch as we continue to fight to turn the America of today into the America of one day, where women no longer have to be flawless and men no longer get to be lawless.
Pregnant and preaching questionable ideologies to her unborn child. One hopes for a balanced viewpoint.
One guy in particular, after I was like complimented by tons of other guys, it was so funny. This one guy called me gorgeous, and then maybe a minute later, my mom goes, "Oh my God, those other two guys were just looking at you." And I was like, "Mom, it's okay." And she was like, "They called you mommy." And I was like, "Yeah, Mom, that's something that people say. It's fine." But I guess I didn't hear them, so my mom told me about it. But there was this one guy in particular who was like wanting to buy me drinks, and he was like following me around everywhere because I like to like go to different machines. He couldn't stop hugging me. He even gave me $20 for my machine. Like, it's fine. At first I thought it was like friendly, it was fine, okay, cool. But then he started saying things like, "I like you a lot," and like looking at me like that. I'm just like, oh my God.
Living in a fantasy world isn't just for children, as one wokey demonstrates with her out-of-touch views.
Stop it. Get some help. If I were to ask you what ugly is, right? Like what is an ugly woman? What does that look like? Can you describe that for me? No? Can anybody on the panel describe that for me? Hang on, feminists first. Can any of the feminists describe for me what an ugly woman looks like? They're a beautiful person on the inside, you know, they've gone to all the great spiritual retreats, they're wonderful human beings. I'm just purely talking about their physical looks.
Yeah, but I feel like that's just kind of like the right person will see you as a piece of art.
Well, so let me ask you a question. If you can't tell me what ugly is, so why should we believe you about what beautiful is? And why should we believe that you're in that category?
A simple question leaves an entire feminist panel stumped. Sometimes the basics are the hardest to define.
Like, you couldn't put two neurotic people together.
No, that would. Like, that's why lesbian relationships don't last. Well, it is why.
That's going to get clipped.
Well, it is why. It is why, because about 75% of divorces are initiated by women. And the simplest explanation for that is that on average, the most unhappy person in the relationship is going to be the woman. Well, why? Well, because on average, she has higher levels of negative emotion. That doesn't necessarily mean that negative emotion doesn't reflect problems in the relationship.
Yeah.
But she's going to be more sensitive to that. Well, so if you put two women together, well, what do you think happens?
Jordan Peterson tackles why he believes women are often the problem in relationships. It's a controversial take that sparks debate.
If you see a woman struggling with a flat tire, to help her, pull over and yell, "Go girl boss," then peel out and drive away. Helping her change the flat tire would be considered mansplaining, and that would be disrespectful. Welcome to the matriarchy. You know where women don't have to worry about getting stranded? The kitchen.
Giving women the world they're asking for might just be the right move, according to one straightforward commentator.
Kamala Harris spent a lot of money on clowns during her campaign, nearly $40 million. Let's see who they were.
The staggering amount of money Kamala Harris spent on celebrity endorsements could be a lesson in financial management.
A man is more dangerous than a bear.
Yeah, let me ask you. Let's put this to the test. If you were walking down a random street in the United States, just a random one, you walked over to a random man and patted him on the head, versus walking over to a random bear and patting it on its head, what do you think would happen if you patted a random man on the head versus a random bear?
Probably the same. They'll both turn around and grab I say it's true back there. They'll both grab the fuck out of you.
I think
Jesus Christ.
I think the bear would turn around and face, and I think that the man would go, doing.
How do you know it's not the other way around?
That the bear would turn around and say, "What are you doing?"
And the man's gonna turn around.
I don't think the bear's gonna say anything because bear. But okay, so over to you.
Okay, so, well, I mean, I will say, if it's just a totally random man, it probably would be fine.
A feminist claims men are more dangerous than bears. It's a comparison that's as wild as it sounds.
It is November 13th, which marks the beginning of Transgender Awareness Week. I just want to let you all know that if you are transgender, I see you, I hear you, I love you. I will keep fighting for you, fighting for us, for our community. We deserve the entire world. And don't forget that you are hot, you are sexy, you are beautiful, you are handsome, you are loved, you are cared for. And even though right now the future looks to be scary, we need you to be alive. We need you to fight for us, because we look back at our trans allies who lived before us and we thank them for their hard work and dedication and their willingness to fight for our current rights. And we want to do the same for future generations to come. I love you, you are worthy of life, and you deserve everything.
Every month feels like Pride Month, and now a Transgender Week.
No! God, please, no! No!
It's a celebration overload for some.
This next joke might get me cancelled. Come on. Transgender people aren't what they used to be. And really, there's two issues. There's trans and there's non-binary, and they often get conflated in our media, but they're very separate issues. Trans and non-binary. So non-binary, that's the one with the pronouns. So there's now more pronouns than there ever used to be. There's now 10 pronouns. I'll quickly go through it so we're all on the same page. The 10 pronouns are he, she, they, them, it, gross, what is that? And I'm very on board. I will call you what you want to be called. I will treat you with respect, always. But I'm also going to make jokes about it. My pronouns are he, he. Because I identify as a comedian.
A comedian mocks the transgender virus, hitting nerves but also pointing out some uncomfortable truths.
If you know it, I'm gonna sing it. Bum, bum, ba-da-dum. Go back,
Hey, that's really good. Okay, let's try something different. That's 3 syllables, right? I've got another word with 3 syllables. It's Kamala. You want to try it? All right, let's go. Bum, bum, ba-da-da. Kamala. Yeah!
Why do speakers at Kamala Harris rallies talk to the crowd as if they're in kindergarten? Patronizing much?
I found out today that somebody that I work with is a conservative, and he's somebody who's really intelligent, and he's somebody who works in climate tech as a super smart guy, somebody I would never have thought was conservative, and apparently he is. And it's surprising, and it's disgusting. But what's most surprising to me is the level of sudden hatred that I have for him. Sudden hatred for this man who I used to respect suddenly just went boop, and I fucking hate him now. It's not about politics, it's about morals. And if you are not a person of morals and you are educated enough to fucking know better, I think I hate you. I know we still have to get through life with these people. Like, at the end of the day, I still work with this man, but I'm not gonna hate him. I'm sorry, I'm gonna fucking hate him now, and that's just how it is. And tolerant, take a hike, because when it comes down to morals and ethics and giving a fuck about other human beings, if you're smart enough to know better, you're educated enough to know better, you are exposed enough to other people in the world to fucking know better, and you're still okay with electing evil, I'm not okay with you.
She broke up with her boyfriend over his conservative views, a relationship casualty of political differences. For more wokey videos, click on the screen right now.
Want to catch wokey moments in 4K? Watch till the end, subscribe, like the video, and comment wokies for a chance to win a brand new iPhone 16 or a cash prize. Also, don't forget to check out the next video on the end screen for more chances to win.